Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Once again, outstanding guests. We have BIG, B-I-G. That's the Business Innovative Center, and they're from Bowie State. They operate out of there, and then we have one of the people that really take advantage of this is Ms. Casey Ford, and we're going to have a good time here. We're going to talk about business, how it's associated with outside business and with the student. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
Smith, this is the coordinator and what do you call it?
Director?
CEO, the director? Any of those names, which one you like?
We do it all.
Well, anyway, tell us, I stumbled upon your organization. I saw this flyer and I said, let me get over to Bowie State and find out what's happening there. And I'm very impressed with the organization and the people there. It really gave me a good idea. Say, hey, Ed, you got to have them on the show. Let the people know that this organization is just fantastic. And you brought along Mrs. Ford, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about it. But tell us about how did you get involved with Business Innovative Center?
Well, the Bowie Business Innovation Center, which is located at Bowie State University, it's actually located physically in the College of Business, and that's by design. But the Bowie Business Innovation Center has been a project a long time in the making. Started with a feasibility study that the city had commissioned together with a state organization called the Maryland Technology Development Corporation. And from that feasibility study, we were able to come to some decisions about how we could really add value to young businesses in the greater Bowie area and how we could help them accelerate their growth. And through lots of different partnerships that we were able to put together, we finally ended up, very fortuitously for us, at Bowie State University. And so since last June of 2012, the Bowie Business Innovation Center has been working actively with young companies, and I brought one of my young companies with me here today, Casey Ford, getting there for him, so that we could talk as a real example of how the Bowie BIC helps companies grow. And the Bowie BIC is a project that is funded by the City of Bowie. It also receives funding from the Prince George's County Council, and we have some corporate sponsors as well. But we have a dual mission, an economic development mission to identify, nurture, and accelerate the growth of young companies here in the greater Bowie area. And we work with professional service firms. We don't have a tight technology focus to the companies that we work with. And then the second part of our mission is an experiential learning responsibility that we take very seriously because we're located at Bowie State University. So we actively work to bring student interns into our management structure for the Bowie BIC, as well as to make those student resources available to our companies, either working on a for-credit process or as a task and with a small, hourly stipend that they would receive to work. So there's really 5 ways that we work with companies. We provide them with the mentoring that they need to grow their business. We provide them with access to the students and the faculty and all the resources at the university that are...
When you say students, you're talking about interns?
Student interns, yeah. We also work with the Entrepreneurship Club on campus. And ultimately, we hope that there will be a chance to have a student incubator, and that's something that Dean Anthony Nelson and I are working on right now to see if we can get that in place. But we provide for our companies the mentoring, the access to students, access to educational and training programs like the one that you saw, our Lunch and Learn, which is open to the entire business community every 4th Wednesday. We do that. We also provide some networking opportunities for our companies, and for some companies even some access to capital. So those are 5 ways that we work.
Well, that's great because that gives the students an opportunity right there on campus and the community really to get involved in the business, because that's the success. Business is the heart of our country, is business. You know, they talk about government and things of that nature. It wasn't for especially a small business. And getting the young people, the male and the female. I mentioned off campus about there is a difference. It seems that the ladies take to business a little quicker than the male.
They really have a very, very keen interest, and they will focus and get organized about it. And so we've had great student interns. Although I would say we're working with 3 interns right now, and 2 of those interns, I've got 2 males and 1 female intern working this time, but previously we'd only worked with female interns.
Yes.
So, but it's a great chance for our companies to get a fresh look, particularly when we're talking about marketing and social media. The students know that better than many of our companies do. But it also gives the students a real window into what does it take to start a business. You know, the fun parts, the tough parts.
Well, what do you think, you mentioned marketing. What do you think one of the weaknesses of a businessman, and when he's jump out there and he wants to get rolling, you know, he only have a few dollars?
Well, I've got my view, but then I'd really like to hear kind of Casey's view of that, because she's living that every day. I think one of the biggest challenges is that when you start a business because you love something that you are able to do. And it's very tough for young entrepreneurs to realize that they can't just keep providing that that technical kind of expertise and delivering that service that they love to deliver and that they're uniquely capable of doing. The challenge comes working in the business, running the business, you know, and that's where the Bowie Bit comes in, because we help those entrepreneurs with great ideas actually meld it into a viable, profitable business enterprise, because most entrepreneurs don't go into business to run a business. They go into a business to deliver a service, provide a benefit. And I think that would be what I would say. But Casey, what would you say?
One of the problems, especially in young businessmen, business ladies, is they don't understand why in that first year they going to take some losses. That's really, they don't understand. They figure that, well, I'll put this out here, I have this business, right away people going to come in. But every business that I know of has had failures. And through failures, you learn.
You do. I think many times you do learn more from your mistakes than from your big successes. You know, that is so true. And many companies, they start before they've really got some capital for those formative 12 months, say.
12 months,
so that they can fail, but they still are not going to go under. So some of them just kind of jump off the diving board too soon, I think. And so that's part of the counseling that we do too. We'll frequently see companies with a great idea. We say, you're not ready even for us yet. And so we have an extensive network of service providers working with both professional service providers here in the Bowie community, as well as institutional service providers, you could say, like the Small Business Technology Development Center and the Technical Procurement Assistance guys and gals. So we have resources that we can put to work for them, but you know, they have to be coachable for us to do that.
Okay, Mrs. Ford, now this marketing. Now I think this is in your ballpark. Tell us, you know, in marketing, some of the basic things that you have to know about your product.
Well, my company, Getting There For Him Incorporated, we really help people understand the process. So some people will say, I want to start a business and I want to do X, Y, and Z, but they don't have a plan. And I see people all the time come with great ideas. They think they're going to get something out there on social media and become a millionaire overnight. And I said, you have to have a plan. Even if it's not a formal plan, you have to have something that's going to say, you know, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. These are my resources.
And a plan to include failures, too.
Exactly.
That's what they fail to plan.
That's a realistic plan.
But the thing about it is, people think failure is a bad thing. And it's not.
It's not.
Every successful company has failed. And you have to fail forward, meaning you get up from those failures, you get a mentor, you get into a program where you can get some help, and then you keep moving along. And you learn from those those failures, because instead of becoming bitter, you become better.
And,
you know?
Yeah, we tend to say fail early and fail fast.
Exactly.
And then you get out of your system and you go on.
right?
Yeah, I would totally agree. And I think a lot of people miss the essence of really growing slowly.
Right.
If you grow too fast, most of the time you start buying things that you don't need. Everybody thinks they need a secretary. You don't have business. Why do you need a secretary? I mean, seriously. They start buying things that they really, really don't need. So I say stay very basic. Get into a program where you can get some help like the Bowie Business Innovation Center. It's a
Right.
fabulous place for a company such as myself. I mean, I've been in business since 2005, but I wasn't growing. And I knew I wasn't going in the right direction. So I wanted help. And so I decided to start from scratch, and I became a resident at the Bowie BIC right there on campus. So I was excited about being accepted into the program.
And in your failures, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, my goodness.
Most of the time,
Do we have enough time?
most of the time, you've experienced it. It's not like, it's in textbook chapter 5.
Exactly.
Yeah, turn to page 3.
I know, right? That's true. And I think a lot of people come out with the big deer eyes, like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this, and they're all excited. And everything you learn in school is good from a book standpoint, but you got to be able to implement those things.
Right.
And by the time you graduate, so much has already changed. The business world changes, is
4
evolving.
years.
I mean, over and over again, daily. We interact in universal now. So a lot of people understand the notion of working a universal plan. Meaning you may have a service, and it works great here in the United States, but can you put it online? Can you reach other people in other countries and make your company worldwide? You can do that. We have the technology to do that now.
What about technology to help you along the way when you decide you have a problem, a product, and you haven't done any research of need, whereas in a research of your clients'
Right.
financial abilities, you wouldn't open up a store in a neighborhood where the people can't afford to buy your product.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people
And you
get
have to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people get excited about their product, but if no one needs your service, you
Right.
just built that for naught.
Yeah.
And I think you have to make sure you have clients that want your service because they're going to buy you before they buy your product.
Right.
And people get they get that backwards. They think they have a great product, they're going to get out there, but there are plenty of people whose product is not so great, but they have a wonderful personality, and people are buying that personality. If you look at some of the products, they usually get superstars and all these movie stars and glamorous people to sell a product. People are buying because that they want to look like that person. They'll buy certain makeup because they want their face to look like that person's face. And so it's not so much the product, it's actually the person that they're buying into. And so that becomes an art of socializing and understand the difference between networking and socializing. If everywhere
What's
you
the
go,
difference?
well, if you go to the same places and all the people are the same all the time, that's socializing. You may call it networking, but it's now become socializing because all you're doing is talking about your family and friends and things from college. That's not getting you a contract. That's not getting you in the door in front of a prospective client. So you want to make sure that you're networking. Wherever your client is, you need to be there.
Yes.
So if you know your client is
So
doing an open
then
house,
what you have to do, you have to take a survey. You have to find out what the need of the community
exactly,
is,
and that
too.
goes back to your business plan. And that's why it's important to have a business plan and have a section in there that says, these are my potential clients. This is where they are. This is where I need to be. Oh, I'm sorry. And also
What
I
is
have
the income level?
Exactly. And you have to know if they need your product at the time that you're ready to deliver it.
Yeah, you
Sometimes
can't
it's
sell
all
a
about
Rolls
timing.
Royce in a Ford environment.
No, you can't
See.
do that. And you have to be able to take feedback and roll with it. You can't get your feelings hurt. You can't go and just bow down every time somebody tells you something that you don't want to hear. I'm in Lisa's office all the time, and I'll bring in somebody and say, okay, that's a great start. You know?
Plan. Yeah.
She'll say, that's a great start. And you know, we sometimes start all over, but at least I've given her something to work with. And you have to be strong in business because whatever idea you have, somebody else has that same idea. And it's just
Yeah.
about the way you present
Right.
it and the way you implement it.
And we kind of boil it down and say, what's the unique need that you're meeting? In
Yeah,
other words,
what's the
where's-
pain point?
Where's the pain?
Yeah.
How are you uniquely going to be able to address that need? Can you do that for on a long-term basis, not just for 1 hour, but
Yeah.
on a long-term basis? And will your solution be profitable? If you can't answer those 4 questions, we go through that with our companies all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
So That's how we make it real simple. We do a lot of tough love, I guess
Yeah.
you could say.
Well, actually, a lot of new businessmen always have, and they feel that it's they shouldn't have it. They have financial problems because they haven't established themselves.
That's true.
Now, how do you get over that hurdle?
Well, one of the first things I think you need to do is you need to be sure that your entrepreneur really is ready to be an entrepreneur. And we certainly do a fair amount of one-on-one counseling when prospects come to us at the Bowie BIC, and we will either refer them to a service provider, work with them ourselves, get them involved in. There are classes all about.
When you say
beginning.
service provider,
Service
what are
provider
you
would
talking
be
about?
like an accountant or an attorney or a small business counselor. As I said, we work with the Small Business Technology Development Center and the PTAP counselors, and we would put them in front of people that's just like us. That's what they do. So we make sure the entrepreneur really is ready to be an entrepreneur. That's the first
Right.
thing, yeah. Because some people having an idea, being an entrepreneur, building a company are two different things.
Exactly.
So we do, we kind of help with that process because we're interested in identifying the companies that can come into the Bowie BIC that have got a little bit of client activity as a base. They've got a little bit of revenue. They're trying to take their company to the next level. We're not a place for somebody who's just got an idea.
No.
We're taking companies like Casey is building, where she had a base. She just wanted to accelerate the growth of it, and maybe reconfigure it a little bit and refresh it a little bit. We work all the time with
But the key
companies
to
like
that, just like Mrs. Ford said,
Yeah.
is plan.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
and you
absolutely.
have
And
to stay focused.
It's not glamorous.
Not
People
up,
don't wanna
not
do
up
it,
here
yeah.
in writing.
And you do it yourself.
Yeah.
You don't get somebody else to write it.
Right.
Yeah.
You do it yourself.
Right.
That process of putting it on paper
Right.
is invaluable. And you know what? The plan is going to change. Good plans don't go in drawers.
No.
That's right.
No.
That's right. I'm looking at
You got to
my
make
my
adjustments.
plan all the time.
And what you do in your plan yourself, you make adjustments to
You do.
the situation that occurred that you didn't plan on.
Right.
That's true. That is so true. And you have to stay focused. A lot of people come into business and they're like a jack of all trades. And you have to come in focused and know what you are good in and really, really become great in that area. So, you got to be good, better at best, and you just keep growing and growing and growing.
What about in business, you make a few dollars and you say, well, what about in investments? Is that considered as a businessman investing in something to back up whatever you're doing?
Well, are you talking about investing in equipment or?
Investment for advantage, improving your product.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Research, basically.
certainly, yeah.
Whatever field you're in, you do, while you're in business, you're doing research on what's going on that maybe I'm not doing, someone else is doing, that's making it profitable.
Right, and we always encourage our companies to reinvest
Yeah.
in their company,
Well,
be
tell
it
us
for
a little-
research.
Tell
be
us
it
a little
for-
bit about
and-
that.
and
A lot
also-
of people, they get the money, they put it in the bank and, put it on the side.
Yeah, no,
and they don't get involved in the future.
You're absolutely right about that. And as many of our companies are LLCs, and so they are the company. The entrepreneur is the company, and we are always counseling them to when they reach a certain point to pay themselves
Yeah.
a little bit, so that they begin to kind of get this idea that I am part of this company. But we also counsel them to be careful with that, because they do need in those early years to be constantly reinvesting in the company so that they can get to the point where they can really, really have something special. Part of building a company is not just the marketing piece of it and getting customers, but at the Bowie Business Innovation Center, we're also looking at the whole company. Is the company using standard accounting practices? Do they have? Are they paying their bills? Are they paying their taxes? Are they current with state agencies? Do they have any licenses they need to have? We're building the entire company so that when they graduate from the Bowie BIC, which we're hoping will be 24 months maybe from the time they come in, they've got the strength to be out in the commercial markets and not in a business incubation system, because we're just part of that process of building the company. We're not the permanent real estate solution.
But actually, your organization, just like Mrs. Ford and the rest of the people is involved there, you have a monitoring system.
We do, from the point of view that when the companies come into the program, we right away start talking about what's the work plan, and we monitor that work plan on regular intervals. Of course, we have the fun of seeing them every day, with those that are residents, but we do have some affiliates that work with us that don't have offices, but they are using our expertise, our connections, our ability to help them get financing. We have one of our companies is a manufacturing company, and we help them get a $100,000 Maryland Industrial Partnership grant to further refine a product that they're developing using faculty researchers at the University of Maryland in College Park and in the city of Baltimore. So we are monitoring what's happening with that. So monitoring is a big piece of it.
Yes, definitely.
Big piece of it.
I say a lot of businesses, they don't know the procedure that's in their own business.
They don't, and I think with entrepreneurs, because things are always happening very fast for entrepreneurs.
Quickly,
You need somebody who's interested but somewhat disengaged, who says, "Oh, let's where are we now?" And it's easier a lot of times to have an outside person do that.
And I think you need to do that.
Because the entrepreneur just gets totally wrapped up and that's part of why they're an entrepreneur, because they love what they do. But we can provide a little bit of structure for that constant mentoring and monitoring. And that's the difference between a business incubator and a multi-tenant office space.
I think the other thing Lisa hasn't mentioned is they're really good at providing resources for us. We have the lunch and learns, but we also have like breakfast speakers will come in. We have a wealth of information that she just collects for us and gives to us. So, we're constantly getting information to better not only our business, but ourselves as individuals as well. And I think some people have to realize that you may have a great idea or concept, but doesn't mean you need to go into business. Sometimes you got to stay and work full time for somebody else and develop that into something that's a viable business. And I think some people miss that step in building a business. They're really not ready for, can you do the taxes? Are you going to do your paperwork? Or do you have the money for your rent? Can you still sustain your household? And if you can't answer yes to all of those, then you're really not ready to be a business owner.
And those things you don't just think about them; you write them down.
Exactly. It goes back to your business plan. It's part of your business plan.
That's part of the business plan. Now, tell me about the students. How you get the young people involved as far as mentors and things of that nature.
Well, as I said, we work with students on specific projects. That's the first thing.
Now, who decides those projects?
Well, the way that it's worked up until this point is that the management team at the Bowie Business Innovation Center, we will define the project. We will work with
And the management team consists of what?
The management team consists of the staff for the Bowie BIC, which is myself and our operations manager, Crystal Simpkins. So Crystal and I will sit down and figure out what's the task and define it, meet with the students, be sure they understand, and then the students actually work in the Bowie BIC with us on a regular schedule, and they get the experience of being part of an office, which many of them have amazingly not had a chance to do, which is great. The idea of there's a time to report and there's a time that things are due and there's a way to be part of the team, and you don't surprise people without asking, can you meet with them at a certain time? And just the kinds of things that business people don't even think about, but it's a great education in a practical way for students. So that's how we work with them.
I think that in business, that I'm sure that you all go through it, is your attire.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know you have problems with that because, certain things are not in for the young people, But,
well,
now, Mrs. Ford has a business suit on there. You have a business suit. young people have to know you can't wear anything
That's
in an
right.
office environment or in your own business environment.
Yes.
Tell us, give us
Ex-
quickly, tell us about
exactly
that.
what I say to the interns when they come in. I say, okay, you're going to be here in our lobby area working. I do not want anyone to come in and say, oh, that must be the intern. I said, you need to look like the rest of
Blend
the
in.
team. And you say that once, and that's the end of it. Because we are the front door for 13 other businesses. They are conducting business. They are not playing. This is their livelihood.
Lisa, you and Mrs. Ford, tell me the most important things that a student that's going into business should do first.
Oh, gee.
That's why I
Be
gave
teachable.
two.
The
Yeah.
number one thing is they have to be teachable.
Yeah, that's a good place to
Sometimes
start.
some of the brightest students have a lot of book sense, but they're not teachable in the business sense because they're going to come and tell you how to do your job. And you have to be humble enough to take direction and be teachable and know that we're going to groom you to do what we need you to do the way we need you to do it. And your book sense is great. We all have a degree, but you're trying to get where we've already been. So try to sit back and learn a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's important that they understand that an office is an environment. It's its own little ecosystem, and there are kind of, rules of the game. And that's one of the ways I think that we can be really helpful for student interns is to get them used to being in that setting, so that when they go on to their first job, they already know the ropes in a sense. This is how offices typically work, and we're a small office, but we're not that extraordinarily different in that we have deadlines and projects and clients and VIPs that come, and they get used to the rhythm of that. I think the other thing that's important for students is to understand that their internship can be a stepping stone to other jobs if they take advantage of the network of people that they can meet through their
Right,
internship,
right,
and
right.
we try and put them in situations where they're going to meet new business
Now,
contacts
you
that will help
gave a
them.
good example with the banker, where you
Exactly.
got the banker to
Right.
hire this, not hire, actually
Just
let the
to
young
have a conversation. I think students need to understand that as part of their networking, just getting information, doing an information
Yeah,
interview
and that's so
can
important.
lead to so many things. Every conversation with a business person, it doesn't translate into a job offer, but they're building their professional network. And I think that's one of the ways that we can help them, because there are an awful lot of people associated with the Bowie BIC. By the time you look at the staff, the companies, the professional service providers, our board of directors, those folks here in the city that work with us, all the business people that we are in touch with. And so we're making all that available to the students, and we want to.
Are you mentioning being familiar with the system of the business, like zoning and things of that nature?
No, I'm talking about sort of business
Like-
office operation.
Like parking planning, in order to have a certain business, you got to have certain zones
Yeah,
for
no,
it.
that's not what we're talking about. We're
you
talking
don't- you-
about how to conduct yourself in a business environment,
Okay,
in an
all
office
right.
environment. I think
right.
that's really kind of how do you appear, how do you conduct yourself, what's appropriate. Headsets are not appropriate in
Right.
an office.
And
you know,
cell
The
phones.
baggy pants. and-
Baggy pants and cell phones.
Right.
wild
You
clothes
know,
and
you
colors
don't
and-
sit in staff meetings sending text messages to your pals.
Yeah.
That's that kind of thing.
It's really a lot of business etiquette.
Oh,
You know,
good.
and actually in some of our meetings, our lunch and learns, the students will come. They will come and listen to the presenter. We've had
Yeah,
several
we-
students.
we-
you have skits?
No, not skits.
No, but we have opened up the lunch and learn to our some of the students that are in the entrepreneur club on campus, because they are, to my mind, sort of the heart of what could become a student
The
incubation
reason I
program.
mentioned skits because that's something that is entertaining to a point, and you can get your point over too, your serious points over. Because if you put a group of them in a skit, one on one side, a pro and con or something like that, they pick up that faster, than they do it if you
Yes.
just lay it out to them.